research so I can become more familiar with the laboratory setting, because I'm trying to get as much experience as possible. The most difficult part of working in the lab for me is spending long periods of time by yourself. You have to come to the lab, or at least I have to come to the lab, set up the equipment, and use it to count cells for hours on end. And sometimes that can be really daunting, and you have to be really self-motivated to do it. Also, sometimes the way that you plan your day and the way that you think things will play out don't play out exactly how they're supposed to, and you kind of just have to go with the flow. And sometimes even you have to step back and review the entire process of the way you're doing things and tweak it and implement it again. For me, the things that I find interesting about the research is finding solutions to the little problems that come up while you're doing the project. Like, say, sometimes you come in and you want to sit down and do your work, and then the microscope needs to be calibrated. Also, at the end of your project, when you've done everything and your results don't come out quite the way you wanted them to come out, and you have to figure out why that is. I feel that my involvement in research has helped me become more of an independent thinker. You have to figure out what your PI is asking of you, what your materials can offer you, and how much time you have to do a given task. Also, just being able to do the work in the lab, it's fulfilling the way that when you've actually finished something and you see what you've accomplished, you feel more confident in yourself. At the end of the day, I find research deeply satisfying, and I can see myself doing it for a really long time. What kind of research does your lab do?
My lab is a developmental neuroscience lab that has its focus on schizophrenia, and we would like to move into autism. We're trying to get an animal model that works for schizophrenia, but also is a general enough animal model for prefrontal cortical development that we can begin to try to use it to look at autism as well. So in the past, all of our work's been on humans and trying to identify alterations or effects that schizophrenia has on morphology of cells, of neurons. And so we now have this understanding that calcium signaling seems to be effective in certain cells in the prefrontal cortex. And so we've taken that idea and begun to develop an animal model that would mimic what we think would be the developmental course of parts of schizophrenia.
What courses do you require your research assistants to take before working in your laboratory?
Well, if they're undergraduates, I like them to at least have the full freshman course and some 200 level courses. It's not really important what courses they take, it's important the level of course they've taken, so that they have an ability to do upper level critical thinking.
What are the traits that you're looking for in your research assistants?
Maturity in the sense that they understand the importance of what they're doing. Since we have worked with human tissue in the past and we work with animal models now, being able to respect the tissue that's been donated or the animals that have been sacrificed to be able to do the type of research we do. So you have to have a level of maturity to come into the lab and work. And motivation and drive. You need to want to be there, right? Because if you're counting in the dark for 8 hours a day, you really need to want to be there to do something like that.
What are the time commitments that you ask for your research assistants?
Well, I know everybody has a life, so to speak, so 8 hours a week is the minimum that you can really put in and get some real research done. If you can't give 8 hours, you're not going to benefit from being in the lab.
What are the benefits of working in your lab?
I think if you want to go on to do anything after your undergraduate career, you need undergraduate research experience. In general, for anybody to go anywhere after a student to go into graduate school, medical school, wherever they're going to go, they need undergraduate research. That's just the reality of the situation. And so that's the main benefit for anybody doing research. I think if you want to stay in the biomedical field, doing research in my lab benefits.
My name is John Uchenna, and I'm the activity coordinator for the Louis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation. I'm in the biochemistry graduate program, and I'm actually working with Dr. Stephen Redenti in the molecular cell and developmental biology lab, and what we're doing is I'm studying the migration of retinal progenitor cells before and after transplantation into mouse eye.
What are the eligibility requirements for the program?
So you have to be from an underrepresented minority group. LSAM stands for Louis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation. It is a research-based program that provides stipends to minority undergraduate and graduate students interested in doing research and going on to do a master's or a PhD program in the STEM disciplines. You have to maintain a GPA of 3.0 and above, and you have to be bound for a master's or a PhD program in the STEM discipline.
What are some of the benefits of the program?
Well, our undergraduate students, for instance, will get exposed to working with an experienced an experienced science or technology researcher. They will be privy to stipends that they can use for their own benefit. They will be exposed to conferences which they have to attend, and the tenets of just basic research like poster presentations, designing of experiments.
Tell me about the areas of research that Lehman has ongoing.
Oh, okay. So our areas of research are mostly in biochemistry, molecular and cell developmental biology, neuroscience, neurochemistry, genetics, molecular biology, computer science, physics, math, and psychology.
Do you have a number of how many professors are actually doing research on campus?
Actually doing research, above 45 professors are actively doing research.
So most professors on campus?
Most professors are doing research, and most professors would always want to work with LSAM students.
What are the time commitments of the program?
During the regular semester, students are advised, or it is expected that students give or are able to allot at least above 15 hours a week to their research mentor. Most of the time, it really depends on the demands of the mentor, but we have a minimum requirement of at least 15 hours a week. During the summer session, students are expected to spend above 30 hours a week in doing lab work.